and I lost the 4-move checkmate with the black pieces. All right, we have this video. Levy and Cigar Shot teach you the first opening trap that they learned. Let's dive right into this and let's see what they have to say.
Sadly, I cannot beat anybody like this anymore.
I don't use it anymore. Nobody's going to fall into it.
Maybe the trap that I learned was not that big of a trap.
Honestly, it worked like a pretty long time. I was like, guys, maybe we should start picking up on what's happening here, you know?
Yeah, I know this one. I mean, I remember this because it's so
It's a
vivid.
scholar's checkmate, right?
I was playing my first inter-school tournament, and a friend of mine who was a very good player told me that if your opponent repeats
Knight c6, this one, yes.
the Petrov, I mean, at that point I didn't know it's Petrov, but if he takes this, you can put your queen here, knight goes back, and you give a check and you win the queen. This was the first trap that I learned, and for years I was of the opinion that knight f3, knight f6, knight takes pawn.
It's just winning.
You have to play d6. Knight e4 is a mistake. But turns out the modern engines now have say that this is playable.
You know what's really funny about this, by the way, with modern engines saying that this is playable? Is that a certain guy who's no longer a professional chess player really reinvented the wheel and played this knight takes e4 move in the Chess Champions Tour in 2023. That player's name was Hikaru Nakamura, and he actually played it a lot. He played against Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, played it against Fabiano Caruana, he played against Magnus Carlsen, and he was one of the guys who really revolutionized this move and proved that it is completely playable at the top level.
After queen e2, queen e7, queen
And
e4,
d6.
d6.
This was known as the Damiano.
Takes. This position is actually not so bad for black. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, Harika played it in one of her games in
Very
classical
reasonable
chess,
these
so,
days. Very reasonable.
Yeah. Maybe the trap that I learned was not that big of a trap.
Hi, I'm Carissa, and this is the first chess trap that I ever learned. I'm gonna explain to you guys today, Scholar's Mate.
Of course, yes.
So start with e4, you know, black, play e5. Point of e4 is to get this bishop out. So bishop goes to c4. Let's say black plays like knight c6, c6. Now white can go queen h5. Now maybe black's like, oh, that queen's so far out there. Like, let me get a bite of it. Plays like knight f6 to attack the queen. And then you could take on f7, and that's checkmate. Yeah, I won like a bunch of games like this when I was in first grade at my elementary school chess club.
How long?
Yeah, for anybody who asks me what mine is, I'll just say it right now. In terms of, it depends what your definition is. I suspect that this is probably the first opening trap that I learned. However, the first very basic opening trap that I can recall was there's a very specific line in the Italian, which I will show after the video, from this book that I won as a prize. I think it was in 1995, maybe 95, 96. I played a tournament at the Manhattan Chess Club in New York City. And I won the tournament. It was for kids, and the prize for winning the event was I got this book that it was I think it was called Josh Waits Can Teach Us Chess. And there's a specific line in the very first chapter of that book, which I will show you guys after the video, which I would say is the first kind of real trap versus just like a basic checkmating idea. Anyway, let's keep going.
Did the trap work for you?
Honestly, it worked like a pretty long time. I was like, guys, maybe we should start picking up on what's happening here, you know? But it gave me a huge boost of confidence in my chess club. And then I won the prize for best first grader. So I know.
What was the best prize that you ever won doing Scholars Meet? Have you ever Scholars Meeted someone to win the tournament?
Oh no.
No, of course not.
You know, once you're past 200, you stop falling for Scholars Mate.
Yeah, when I was a kid in the year 2000, basically if you're born before 2000, you're like a normal person, and if you're born after 2000, I don't even understand how that's possible. I'm born in 95. So when I was a kid, I learned this trap. I would start with pawn to e4, and they would respond
Yeah,
symmetrical.
same thing, right?
e5, most normal way. I would develop my knight,
no, it's a different
attacking the
trap.
pawn. They would develop their queen's knight to c6, defending
Is
the
this
pawn,
the
the
four
most
knights?
common
This might
chess
be the
position.
this might be one of the Italian
like
tricks.
forever, literally, since the inception of chess.
It's got to be one of the Italian tricks.
And then here I would develop my bishop.
Yep.
And I'm just like ready for some development of one of these two pieces. This is also known as the Italian game. When I was 7, I don't think I knew that. And then my opponents would develop their second
knight
knight,
g5,
which is what
right?
you're
It's
supposed
gotta
to
be
do,
knight g5.
also conveniently attacking the pawn.
It's got to be the fried liver.
Then I would be like, they're so stupid, they fell for my trap.
Yeah,
Knight
exactly.
to g5. What I didn't know, ignorance is bliss when you're 7 years old. All of this has been studied up the ass. Like, there's just dozens and dozens of moves you can memorize here, but not when you're a 7-year-old who's rated 700. You attack this pawn, and they block it, and so you take, and they're supposed to move their knight here. They can also play pawn to b5. There's all sorts of moves, but most people just take the pawn back. And they think that's the end of the story, but you actually sacrifice your knight.
Yeah.
This is called the fried liver trap. They take with the king. Now you attack the king and the knight at the same time with your queen. And the best move for them is to bravely walk the king into the center of the board. White is still doing well here. You keep pressuring this knight and you keep attacking. But a lot of people would fall for this trap. In my very first tournament, I won my very first game like this. My opponent walked the king to safety, only to discover that the king is not safe at all. And I probably beat that child, and they never wanted to play chess again. Good, chess is cruel. Sadly, I cannot beat anybody like this anymore, but that's the fried liver trap.
You know what's funny about this trap, by the way? The reason that I did not learn the fried liver trap is because when I first learned chess, the opening that I played was not the Italian or the Ruy Lopez. If you don't play the Italian, you're not going to know that trap. So like for me, I played the Scotch opening as a kid. I've mentioned in many of my speedrun videos as well. I played the Scotch, not the Italian, so it was never a trick that I actually learned when I was very young.
It was Tawny, and this is the first trap I ever learned. I'm going to teach you.
It's the Blackburn, maybe?
It's black. When I was younger, I used to play the Owens defense.
Oh,
This
the
is
Owens,
B6,
okay.
bishop B7.
Oh, with F5,
Early
bishop
fiend
B7,
setup.
okay.
White would take the center.
Yeah, bishop B7 and F5, right?
Bishop would go to B7. Bishop goes to D3. Sometimes the knight can go to
And
C3.
F5.
And many people here would actually go F5. Idea to attack the pawn in the center. And then if the pawn takes, then there's bishop takes
Queen H5, G6
but watch
takes,
out
bishop
because
G7.
Queen H5. And then because of the king is checked, right? And black was trying to trap the rook. Now we have to defend. The pawn keeps taking. You can't take back because this will be checkmate. It's like double checkmate.
Bishop G7.
And so basically now black would be losing because the knight will come out. And then there's this really, really nice move here.
G7. Or G8,
Pawn
sorry,
takes
it's knight
H7.
F6, so you're taking bishop
And
F6.
it might
Same
seem
way.
that you go G7.
Same thing, yeah.
Now the knight takes the
Yeah, I'm
queen,
blind
and
for a
then,
second.
you promote to another
This
queen
is
here.
also winning
But
too.
this wouldn't be
yeah.
as efficient.
Yeah.
As if.
But you know what's
I'll
fun?
go back to
What's
the
really
original.
funny about this line is I remember as a kid actually looking at this too. After bishop G7, it's winning for white, but it's not easy to win by force. That's what's funny about this line. It is winning, but it's
if
not.
you
It's
take on
tricky.
H7, and then after knight takes, you go bishop G6 and check. So
Does
really,
he mention
really
bishop
cool.
G7? He doesn't mention bishop
I
G7.
don't-
Yeah.
Like, you're the first one to explain that trap.
I mean, I don't know.
By the way, however, this is not simple. So like if I create a board, I guess the board's a little bit off. I don't care. Okay, I'll change the scene just very briefly. So like this is not about the match between Ali Reza and Nepo, but the thing with this line is it actually is not it's not so simple. It is winning, but after bishop G7 takes king F8, while this is winning for white, you have to be very, very precise. Like if you take and black takes, you move the queen and black takes the rook here. Black is actually probably not losing in this position because black has an extra rook here and the king is very safe on G8. Now it is winning, of course, and I know it's not about a Nepo game, but the point is like you have to go knight F3, knight F6, and I think it's queen G6 is the winning line because you have like rook G1 and some bishop H6 somewhere, right? Or it's queen G3 here. Okay. But I remember looking at this as a kid because this is what was known as, I think, some version of the Owens or the Fred opening as well, maybe. Also, when I was much younger, sometimes I'd go online on the Internet Chess Club and I would play this really fun line where you sack the pawns and you try to like manually castle the king, you start building a big black center, and all the pieces come into the center immediately, and it's actually kind of not so easy for white to prove the advantage. This was when I was much younger, of course, but I remember playing openings like this. Like, you manually castle your king here, and you just build a big black center, bring the pieces out immediately, and white basically has no development here. All these pieces are on the back rank. So this is one opening that I remember very, very fondly. But let's get back to the video, of course, and let's change the scene. Here we go. Let's keep going. Wait, is this the right scene or is this the right scene? This looks like the right scene. Anyway, let's keep going. Here we go.
My name is Jules Gambit, and I'm going to teach you the first chess trap I ever learned the hard way. This was during my first tournament back as an adult. I was playing a classical game.
Adult?
I thought I was very clever.
Wait, my first tournament. Wait, what? Wait, did I hear that wrong? Sorry, wait a second. What?
My name is Jules Gambit, and I'm going to teach you the first chess trap I ever learned the hard way. This was during my first tournament back as an adult. I was playing a classical game.
That's a mistake. She might say back as a child. I mean, okay, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Very clever.
Yeah, I was like, wait a second, like what?
So it was, I believe it was black to move here, and then
What?
I got hit by the very fun. And what was going through my head, I was like, wait, but
By the way,
this
this is not a basic trap. Like, honestly, this is not like a beginner trap as like a kid when you just started the game. Like, even getting to this point, like move 6 or 7, this is already at least like 1200 plus. So this is not like truly a trap or something as a beginner.
like this is theory, and
Yeah,
it's
not a trap, it's just
I ended up
tactic.
having to lose my bishop.
So white goes d4. This is actually a bad
this
trap
one.
because
Is
it
this
just gets
England
worse if
Gambit?
white doesn't fall into it. So you give up a pawn, you place the bishop here. Okay, white makes a developing move. You give up another pawn.
Bishop f2,
and
yes.
you give
Bishop
up a
f2,
knight
yeah.
as well. So white, like the hope is that white thinks here, just pads here and takes here. And now the point is you take here. White takes here and you take the queen.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, even after the trap, okay, black is of course winning, but it's not as easily winning.
Really? Why is it not as easily winning?
Because for the queen, white still has 2 pieces, and at an amateur level, I think that can still save a lot of games.
Yeah, he's right.
Hi, I'm Divya Deshmukh, and I'm going to teach you the second trap I ever learned. The first one is queen f1 mate, so I'm not teaching you that. So it goes with e4, c5, d4,
Smith Morra, right?
c4, c3.
Yes, of course.
You take.
It's gonna be some e5, bishop f7, I think. Bishop c4,
Knight
right?
c3,
It's gonna be some bishop c4,
knight
e5 trick.
c6, knight f3, d6, bishop c4,
Knight f6, e5,
knight
yeah.
f6, e5, knight e5, takes. I've won like a million games with this. And now you take bishop f7. This is the trap. So king f7 and queen d8. Queen up. I
This
don't
is a
use
very
it
common
anymore.
one,
Nobody's
too.
going to fall into it.
No, it's a very common one. That's a very, very common trap. I mean, of course, I know all these traps. Like I said, if I go back, let me change the scene very briefly so you guys see it. I know it's not an Ali Reza game, but who cares about the names being on the board here? It doesn't matter. Everything doesn't have to be perfect in this world. So those of you guys who are going to leave a comment, you can let me know how unhappy you are that I'm pretending this is an Ali Reza Nepo game. But the first thing, a couple important things. First things first, when I was a kid, the opening that I learned very specifically, I said this before, was I grew up playing the Scotch opening with d4. The reason I learned this is because my stepfather, Snowwear Mantra, is a FIDE master. This is what he played, and this is what he taught me. So the Levy trap, for example, with bishop c4, knight f6, knight g5 is fried liver. It is a variation where if you don't play the Italian, it'll never occur. So then back to the general point. So the first thing that I learned was also, I believe, this 4-move checkmate with queen h5 and queen takes f7. I will point out that in one of my, I remember this very clearly. I played chess for a couple of months when I first started. I was not very good. I stopped. And then I remember, I think this was early 1996. Like, I'm going to say it was like March of 96. I played a tournament in Newburgh, New York, probably about an hour away from White Plains where I grew up. I played a tournament. It was a kids event. I did really well. I won my first 3 games. In the 4th round, I played this kid by the name of Christopher Belcher, and I lost the 4-move checkmate with the black pieces. If you go to US Chess, you can probably actually dig up the tournament to confirm it. But I believe it was 1996 that I fell for this trap. So that was something. Also, what I was going to say, though, is probably the first real trap that I learned as a kid. It's when I played a tournament at the Manhattan Chess Club. I believe this was also 1996 or maybe maybe it was 95 even. I played a tournament. It was for complete beginners. I won the tournament. And for winning the tournament at the Manhattan Chess Club, I got a book as the prize, and it was this book called Josh Waitzkin Teaches Chess. And I remember reading the first chapter, and there was a specific variation in the Italian, I don't remember the exact order, where you get this exact position: d3, d6, bishop g5, bishop g4. I think it's knight d5, knight d4. It's takes, bishop h6. Takes, bishop h3, and now after king to h1, white is completely winning. I don't remember. I think the line was something like, I think in the book the line was something like this, and white's winning by force. I don't remember exactly the specific order, but I remember this was the exact trap with this knight d5, knight d4. It's in chapter 1. Somebody could definitely find that, because the book, I believe, is still for sale online. I'm not gonna go to Amazon because I'm probably logged into my Amazon account. But it's Josh Waitzkin Teaches Chess. It had like a blue cover. I'll find a picture of the cover without going to Amazon, so you so someone can probably fact check that. But that was really what I remember as like a first like kind of trap line that I looked at. Let me find a picture. Let me find the book. Oh no, sorry, it was called Josh Waitzkin Attacking Chess. That's what it was. I'm gonna open the image in a new tab. There we go. So you can see it. This was the book. I'll make this much bigger. This was the book. It was called It was called Josh Waitzkin's Attacking Chess: Aggressive Strategies and Inside Moves from the U.S. Junior Chess Champion. I don't know what year this book was published, but this is the this is the book that I got as my prize for winning. So that's kind of like the first the first, like, I would say, like tactic that I really remember was this Italian with this mirror on the wall situation. So just the example of like the first kind of trap in a sense. I do think the first thing I ever learned was the 4-move checkmate, or scholar's checkmate. But this is what I remember, was just this mirror variation. Okay, Unk, exactly. I'm super old. So that's like from way back in the Stone Age, though. I think actually the book, I don't even know when the book was published. I mean, let me see if I can find it. Let me see. When is the book from, actually? What year is this book from? Let me see. I'm going to Amazon very briefly. This book was published. This book was published 1995. It was published August 1st, 1995. So probably I got the book in 95. So yeah, that's this classic book fair book. I remember I got the book. I mean, I remember I got the book as a prize for winning a tournament at the Manhattan Chess Club, and I mean, I love the book. It was a great book. It's one of those books that was just fantastic. So that's sort of my traps. Basically, I assume Scholar's Mate is the first thing I learned, although I walked into a checkmate in it later on, and this was another thing from that book that I got as the prize. So crazy stuff from long time ago. 1995. How was it walking around with T-Rexes? Frankly, it was amazing. It was amazing. It was really good. Do I still have that book? In New York, I probably do have that book. If you were to ask me somewhere, it's probably there. Also, you might not know this, but if you were born before probably 2000, people actually collected books. People have bookshelves. They actually have books that they read. You know, it's considered a sign of intellect and, you know, just showing class. Nowadays, idiots only play around with these stupid gadgets and think they're smart when they're complete morons. But yeah, I suspect I have that book back in New York. That's my guess. Are books from 95 still okay for chess? If they're not theory books, yes. If they're not books about like chess theory, they definitely can be applicable, for sure. Like they're like Dvoretsky is another book. Like, it's a serious book that's very good for strong players. There's like Alexander Kotov's book, Think Like a Grandmaster, I believe is the title. There's also The Art of Attacking Chess by Vukovic, another book that I think stands the test of time. So there are quite a few books. Hikaru is talking about fossils to hide the fact he's a fossil himself. Yes, exactly. Yeah. But all this stuff was like a long time ago. Long time ago. Plenty of those books are still reasonable. They're completely reasonable. I have no issue with them. So that's what I would say about the books. I still have the original version of Think Like Grandmaster. Yeah. I mean, probably the book is 2025. Who's going to learn from books? I mean, learning from books is a good thing. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. But anyway, whatever. That's a completely different topic that you guys are talking about. Daniel had a whole shelf. So so we should be reading instead of watching? Not necessarily what I'm saying. What I would say is that if I would say in general, for example, people would be surprised to know this, but for me, I try as much as I can to read physical paper books still. I try reading physical paper books. I try not to read books on like my iPad if I can help it. I try not to, Josh Waits was on Joe Rogan a couple months back. I am aware of that. Yeah, I am aware of that. What are my thoughts on the fall of the Jin Dynasty? Wait, let me Google it. Jin Dynasty was which period in time? That was... You're talking about the one from BCE? I mean, I feel like I've heard of it, but I actually don't know anything about it. I think that's what you're referring to. But I don't... Like, if you were to ask me about, like, you're talking about, like, the shoguns or the Tokugawa, the shogunate in Japan, I could actually give you an opinion on some stuff, but, like, China's not my jam. Ancient Japanese history, I know a little bit about, like, but not about China for sure. Like, if you were to ask me about, like, the Tokugawa shogunate, I could give you some thoughts. But the Jin Dynasty, which is China, like, I have no idea. I only know some stuff about, like, feudal Japan and that sort of stuff. But anyway, all right, I don't know why we're talking about ancient history, but let's keep moving on.